Instead of letting the market naturally evolve and change, now we're just getting a heavier hand from the government, the likes of which I can't even draw comparison because, okay, the recent technology that immediately comes to mind is like the television, because we just went just about overnight from an old tube TV technology that was around for absolute decades, okay, to just having a flat screen on every corner in multiple rooms in people's homes, just seemingly overnight, and that had zero government intervention when it comes to it. And now they're trying to force something, even though they know at the electricity grid, okay, and we'll be talking about that and the fact that they are really not set up for this. It's almost like this is planned. Like there's this concept of planned obsolescence that's out there, okay? There's a reason why the military has certain technology that eventually just makes its way out there, okay? Because the internet was around and used in some primitive form by the upper echelons of government before it was released upon the public, okay? Cell phone technology, other communications, modes of communications, okay, they're already out there. But if you take a look at the nominal improvements when it comes to things like smartphones in today's day and age, because there were giant leaps from the generations of iPhones, okay, from first to second to third to fourth, and then it just really started to peter off, and now they're even just removing features that people like a headphone jack. It's like, no, everything will be fine. Just use Bluetooth headphones. But what if they're dead? Then don't worry about it. It's totally fine. Buy this stupid little dangle that you can't charge your phone and use headphones at the same time. It's so fucking dumb. Why would you do that? You're not making anybody's life better. You're just forcing them to make changes that really aren't to their benefit. Oh, but it's wireless, and that means that it's better. Unless, of course, you live anywhere outside of the Silicon Valley bubble and that you got to put your phone in your pocket if you're out for, let's just say, a run or something, and you got a whole bunch of layers on because it's cold as shit outside, and then you realize that if you aren't wearing high-end Bluetooth headphones, you've got to put your phone in certain places in order for the connection to be there because the technology hasn't been perfected. But no, we're just going to charge forward. And all of those dumb things end up having consequences because Apple, even though they've taken over the market share when it comes to smartphones, okay, they lost it for a second because Android was picking up the slack when it came to innovating. And I know that I've seen this pie graph that's out there, okay, it just seems a little bit more when it comes to Apple when you take a look at the entirety of the market. And then on the other side is all the different platforms that run on Android. So it's not really a fair comparison. But I listened to the arguments that it's kind of mostly a monopoly at this point when it comes to Apple. But no, Apple needing to make adjustments, okay, and different platforms coming up and growing and taking advantage of the situation. That's the market working as intended. But when you have the government coming in here saying, no, we're just going to do this, we're just going to ban, the production of technology that continues to work fine, okay? Instead of continuing to innovate and change that, no, we're just going to go to this new thing and it'll work. Trust us, it'll be fine. All the rest of the accompanying technology, it'll catch up. It'll be great, wonderful, fantastic. Between coming in and directly regulating consumer products like that, price caps on fuel and other regulations, okay, the government's trying to go in and blaming the grocery stores for rising inflation. There's little fascistic governments, okay, popping up all over the place. I'm not exactly cool with it, but nothing you can necessarily do about it other than observe it and then just try to maneuver within your own ability. So yeah, when I see things like this, I can walk this down the mental path as far as it can go, okay? I understand the good intentions behind it, but, the old meme that's out there where the road to hell is paved with good intentions, okay? They just want to be energy efficient. It just wants to be good for the environment. You still got to charge that shit, and where does the energy from that come from? The wall. Oh, yeah, of course it does. People aren't playing with full decks. But we've seen what happened in California over their past little rolling blackout phase where it's not a blackout because we just told people they can't use their energy at home between the hours of 4 and 9 p.m. Other than that, it definitely, we didn't have a problem with that. Okay, cool. But just imagine that. Solar power can't work for California. California, where a bad day of weather has 2 clouds in the sky, okay? Now try to make solar power work, try to make wind powered work. in the middle of the country, or even just in the northern part of the United States, okay? And then in Grand Prairie, like where I'm at in northern Alberta, solar power ain't gonna fucking work, okay? We tried to have, and we have a few wind turbines around this place, and it is windy on days that end in fucking Y, okay? There's always some sort of breeze. You can go ahead and check, you can go ahead and run the numbers. I would say safely, there is a double-digit kilometer wind 300 days out of the year. It could be even more than that. And the reason why there's not more wind turbines around here, like there's a couple, legitimately, just a couple. And you'd think that that would be enough, but no, they said there's not enough consistent days of wind in order for us to put stuff up. So what the fuck are we gonna do? Oh, just put up solar panels. You've seen those solar panel farms, right? And how much space they take up, how much dead space you end up creating. Like, I don't want to have to put on my tinfoil hat here for a second, but it almost seems like people understand, people in power, greater power than I do, okay? I can't quantify any of this stuff. I can't point to those people directly, but you can go ahead and come along this mental journey, this little mental exercise here for a second. They've inspected and they figured out that the personal automobile is the ultimate form, the ultimate expression of freedom. And by banning the combustion engine for the purpose of an automobile, which will eventually disseminate off to, gas-powered generators and recreational vehicles as well, another thing that's incredibly popular in places like northern Alberta and stuff like that. ATVs, four-wheel, or side-by-sides. Snowmobiles as well. They want to be able to control your movement, and if you want to assign that responsibility to the government or greater power in that would be the nefarious end at that. But I would also understand the logic and reasoning that you just want to make sure that the climate is going to be fine. Again, I would rather ascribe a lack of information than I would malevolence, but it's becoming increasingly more apparent that the malevolence option might be the correct one. But preamble, and quite substantial preamble aside, more states move towards banning gas-powered vehicles. I could just only imagine which states those are going to be. How long before Illinois pops up on that one? 17 states follow California's rigid vehicle emissions requirements instead of federal standards, and they're now considering following California's lead into its gas-powered vehicle ban. Indeed, Oregon has said it'll update its Advanced Clean Cars 2 law proposal to include gas-powered vehicle bans in a 2035. Keep a little pin in that one, because we'll be coming back to Oregon, because I got another article that we can take a look at. And Washington State, not Washington, D.C., even though I don't think that Washington, D.C. would be terribly opposed to this type of stuff, because it's mostly run by the federal government, and this edict has already come down from Joe Biden in the early days of his presidency. Every new vehicle, we're going to be replacing the fleet of vehicles that we have with the electronically environmentally friendly ones, I think, or something like that, the 2050, and we're just going to buy stuff with your money and shut up. You mega Republicans are evil. Anyways, yeah, Washington State. So basically all the way up the left coast, they're going to be hopping on the California bandwagon. Congratulations, great, wonderful, fantastic. In September 2021, New York Governor Kathy Hochul signed Senate Bill S-2758, which effectively banned gas-powered vehicle sales by implementing zero-emission in-state goal of 100% by 2035. Yeah, that's retarded. You're in your largest city, okay, your biggest voting block runs on the private automobile industry. Taxi cabs, Uber, you need that shit. And I understand that it's no new created vehicles, but that'll eventually work its way down to repair shops and other traditional forms of combustion engine technology. New York will likely institute an outright ban soon. Further states have so-called trigger laws that will require them to adopt the same emission regulations as California, even if they disagree with the requirements. God, she's so evil. On August 25th, the California Air Resources Board voted to ban the sale of gas-powered cars entirely by 2035, and that definitely hasn't proved to be a terrible decision. Nope, not at all. A move impacting 17 states that follow California's emission regulations. Why would you be a part of that? New York, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Washington, Oregon, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, Colorado, Minnesota, of course, Minnesota. And again, all that fucking farmland there, and you're just gonna go, oh, we're just gonna go electric vehicle. Fuck it. That's retarded. Nevada, and again, huge amounts of space and a lot of construction that's gonna end up happening, okay? You think that all of that new equipment that's gonna be rolling in there is gonna have a big fucking battery attached to it? Yeah, I don't think so. Virginia and New Mexico have all chosen to opt into California's standards instead of federal requirements. Yeah, we'll see about that. Because I know Nevada has a couple of big elections coming up as well. Minnesota, that shit's lost, okay? But I think I see something about Virginia popping up, so that could be changing as well. Moreover, depending on the legalese of each state's regulations, if California implements a specific condition, then the state tied to California's standards must follow suit. For example, under then-Governor Blackface Ralph Northam, boy, that was a fun saga back in early 2018? Yeah, that's funny, man. It's alright when the left does blackface, but if the right, oh my god, it doesn't even matter if it was 60 fucking years ago. Anyways, Virginia tied itself to California's emission standard when it passed House Bill 1965. Oh, it was a terrible year, which directed Virginia's State Air Pollution Control Board to adopt and enforce Section 177 of the Clean Air Act. How retarded. And you can't walk that back and move it around. Anyways, the Clean Air Act is a federal law requiring states to implement federal vehicle emission standards or opt under Section 177 to follow California's more stringent requirements. Massachusetts, Washington, and Vermont have signed similar laws tying them to California. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker on August 11th signed House Bill 5060, which essentially dictated that if California passed a fossil fuel vehicle ban, Massachusetts would follow suit. That is so stupid, tying yourself, especially in today's day and age, to California. Especially, you're in the Northeast, okay? That shit gets cold, it gets icy. Fuck, they got a type of weather specific, okay, a nor'eastern that rolls in there that could cause a lot of fucking problems. And do we know on mass scales what that will do and how that will fuck up an electric powered vehicle? Not a fucking clue, at least on a mass scale, okay? But no, this is for the environment. That's cool and stuff. States resisting the ban. All right. I didn't see anything about Illinois in there, so I guess that's something yet to be decided, because I couldn't imagine that fat bastard J.P. Pritzker wouldn't want to have anything electronic, okay? Mostly because he takes a look at his grill and is like, well, it's powered by electricity, okay? And I like to cook things out of the microwave, so, you know, it could be good enough for vehicles. Not every state has tied itself to California's emission requirements, plan to follow the gas-powered ban, however, plus some states like Virginia are exploring legal options to resist it. California, for example, believes California's ban is flawed and won't adopt it yet. Because again, yeah, most of their state is at such a high level of altitude, fucking around with that shit doesn't really follow that much. And again, the technology behind, you know, like fucking big old snowplows that go through the Rocky Mountains, a little bit untested so far. We'll just go with that. While the government shares the goal of rapidly moving towards electric vehicles, he is skeptical about requiring 100% of cars sold to be electric by a certain date, as technology is rapidly changing. Yeah, that's probably the best way to go, okay? If you think that that's the best course of action to move towards that type of technology, that's fine. That's your opinion, okay? And you can have your incentives in order to develop better technology because of that. But placing an outright ban on the old, reliable technology, that makes no fucking sense at all whatsoever. It's like eugenics for technology. Which is, you know what, hey, kind of on the nose a little bit, and especially because Democrats are pushing it. Maybe it is. Governor Janet Mills of Maine does not support California's ban, and Maine won't follow suit, which is big. Good news. Good on her, I guess. Other states like Delaware, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Nevada have regulations requiring a certain percentage of vehicles sold to be zero emissions by a specific date. Nevertheless, their laws won't cede power to California, and that's the way it should be. Well, I should finish with Minnesota here, because, god damn it, they are just a little commie anomaly that makes no goddamn sense. In 2020, of course, probably a part or something to do with making sure that we have clean air so everybody can breathe out here. Minnesota adopted clean car standards that tie Minnesota to California. Let's make that make sense geographically. That's so fucked. However, the Minnesota Auto Dealers Association, unions in Minnesota, they run the show out there. So if they're speaking up about this, there could actually be some changes on this. I filed a complaint with the State Court of Appeals arguing that the law improperly delegates the state's authority Authority to the California Air Resources Board. Ooh, that would be a very good lawsuit to be paying attention to, making sure that other states don't control the independence or the futures of other states. Because again, why would you delegate that responsibility? That's just a lazy lawmanship. Is that what you call what lawmakers do? Oh, right. Collect kickbacks and get influenced by lobbyists. That's what they do. Anyways, lawsuit is pending. That's great. But yeah, new Governor Glenn Youngkin in Virginia publicly says he views the law as ludicrous and vowed to challenge the law. Hey, another W for Glenn Youngkin. It's been a minute. So yeah, just like abortion, looks like electric vehicles are going to be on the mark when it comes to half the states going along with California's stupid implementation, or just telling them to fuck off and we'll just let technology decide. We'll let the market dictate what their future looks like, which is probably the best and freest way to go. But then again, I don't live in a blue state, and especially take a look at some of these places as well, okay? You can either have fun in your old diesel or gas-powered vehicle, or you can go to an abortion in a Tesla in places all the way up the left coast. And like I said at the beginning, put a little dot into Oregon, because they've just gone in whole hog. They've just dived into this shit. And like it says right here, the Advanced Clean Cars 2 Act will outright ban gas-powered vehicles by 2035. And what kind of a future do they face? Very Californian-esque one. Oregon facing widespread power shutoffs. The state experiences critical fire weather. Okay. And you take a look at their neighbors, their closest neighbors in California, can't really lend any power. We're a little dry ourselves, okay? And then up in Washington, what are they doing? Well, they're following along the same path as you guys. So here's the old saying that the sun never sets on the British Empire. Well, the sun will be setting a little bit earlier on the left side of the United States. Let's take a look. Okay, widespread power shutoffs could leave more than 50,000 Oregonians in the dark this past weekend, weekend of September 10th. Okay, as the state faces extreme wildfire risk. Wow, it's almost like somebody should be out there doing forest management, but that's a verboten topic now at this point. Cleaning out all the dead debris that normally catches on fire, but you can't be doing that because of reasons, I guess. It's funny because wherever these very conspicuous fires that just spontaneously start in the same places year over year. You know, there's policies that have been in place because in previous years, in previous decades, big fires like this don't happen. It's been just as hot, okay? The conditions haven't changed all that much, but they were doing things like cleaning out dead brush, cleaning out dead trees, okay? Taking care of that stuff, bringing them to the pulp and paper mills, making something useful out of those instead of just tindering to burn down your forests. But here we are with 26 fires already burning on 195,000 acres across the state. The National Weather Service in Portland issued 2 red flag warnings on September 8th for critical fire weather conditions, including strong winds, high temperatures, and low relative humidity for the weekend. Winds are forecasted to be up to 50 miles per hour in the Willamette Valley as temperatures reach to the mid-90s. Yeah, that's pretty stiff winds, not gonna lie. On September 8th, officials evacuated the state's emergency coordinator center. We're at what I would call an apex of fire season. Any new start could be very problematic, Oregon's Deputy Fire Marshal Travis Medina said during the September 8th news conference. Over the last 24 hours, we did have some lightning storms throughout southern Oregon. There are potentially other fires out there due to the lightning storms. Conditions are eerily similar to those that led up to the 2020 Labor Day fires, where 6 mega fires ignited across the state, burning more than 1 million acres, destroying more than 4,000 homes, causing 11 deaths. Oh yeah, right. There was also a shooting that happened around that time too. I seem to remember that. That was wild. Oh, that was started by an Antifa guy too. Right, I remember that. Shit. That's funny. It's like reminiscent about the good old days. But imagine that if anybody's doing forest management around that, might not be in that situation, because it's almost like, even at the tail end of summer, because yes, it turns over to fall, regrettably, the 20th or 21st of this month, but yeah, who could have possibly seen it just get hot and dry and windy for like 3 months specifically out of the year, especially in places like Oregon where you got like a lot of trees, and you've always had a lot of trees around. It's almost like if somebody could have forecast that, but nah, just go ahead and blame gas vehicles for that, and don't use electricity or anything like that. Just sit and stew in the smoke. That's the future that they have out there in leftist controlled states. Your choice if you want to stick around in those or not, but I know I'm going to be making my choice. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo, and I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.